A while ago, I fell into a slump regarding to the games I wanted to play. I had spent a few weeks barreling down Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate to arrive at Final Fantasy VII Reboot quickly. However, as I approached the middle of Remake and Reboot's launch just days away, I was deeply saddened. I took some time away from Remake to finish some of my backlog, and after putting it down for many months, I picked up back Yakuza 4 Remastered and arrived at the very middle of the game. Once again, I found myself exhausted from the game's dated movement and even worse combat. Seijima's arc narratively was exciting, but still, I pushed the same combo through to get through part 2 of the game. I know that doesn't make much sense. As I sat in my chair in the dead of night, my eyes draped in exhaustion, the filtered light from my monitors radiating enough power to power a small town, I came across Granblue Fantasy Relink. I was quickly captivated by the game's gorgeous illustrations and surprisingly beautiful world. An anime aesthetic is rarely able to replicate so faithfully in a 3D space. See Guilty Gear for an actual example. Off of this alone, I took a plunge into Granblue Fantasy and boy was I in for a treat. A fully fleshed out action combat system with dozens of playable characters, a fully offline single player campaign, beautifully designed environments, fantastic voice acting, a power level system that allows for replayability, crafting and upgrading a variety of weapons, augments, dozens of skills to create different loadouts for other characters for different enemy types, including the ability to play online with friends. And after almost 10 hours in the game, I still felt like I hadn't touched every system. After 10 hours, I still wanted to play out the single player campaign. After 10 hours, I'm excited to see where this goes. Stunning. I cannot continue to describe appropriately how amazing this game turned out to be. The game has several tricks up its sleeve. It wears its mobile roots proudly on display. This allows users to engage in genuinely fun, expressive boss battles, and at one point you even get to take on a boss a la kaiju style. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a welcome addition to the game's already stellar combat. The story's final moments were an incredibly gripping experience that I haven't felt in a long time. The fact that the story ended but was quickly expanded for in the post game was excellent, with far more items available, new weapons, movesets, and the like. Once you complete the game and witness what the base game has to offer, the game quickly drops you into New Game Plus mode, or rather more of a post game. More quests, more challenging quests, recruits, and new currencies that are fully earnable in game. More craftable weapons and more augments for your characters. Throughout the base game, you're only awarded bits and pieces of your character's full kit. It felt weak. However, now that we're in the post game, all of the additional weapons are available, and since crafting materials and upgrade materials are now locked behind more and more difficult enemies, the game incentivizes you to continue fighting through the post game content and the more difficult bosses and dungeons to attain those materials. You couldn't have completed your mastery trees during the base game, but it wasn't meant to be completed. It was meant to be continued forward into the post game. I enjoyed Granblue Fantasy Relink much more than I expected to. Truthfully, I had zero expectations when I went into the game, and I even spent the first couple hours just skipping through the cutscenes. I praise the developers for summarizing what happens in those cutscenes though. That was a fantastic addition that helped me care about the story and characters even when I did not care. By the middle of the game rolled around, I was invested in the story. All things considered though, the story went where I expected it to go, but the litany of characters' interactions make everything feel cohesive. It's one of those stories that is less about the actual plot and more about the execution of the story. As I put the game down after about 15 hours of gameplay, I have to say there's at least a couple dozen hours of content left. Moving forward, I'm going to play this game casually. The game's gorgeous illustrations and spectacular art direction does a lot of heavy lifting. Still, it's a fun, fantastic, combat-oriented game that borrows heavily from looter shooters, but is packed in an aesthetically pleasing package that is sure to wow.